Good afternoon, class, and welcome to my garden. Today we're going to take a short tour of my garden to see firsthand different methods of asexual plant reproduction. That is, where the cells of the young plant are exactly the same as the cells of the parent plant. In terms of cultivation and food sustainability, asexual plant reproduction plays a vital role in maintaining our society. First stop, we're off to a geranium. Okay, so this is my geranium plant here with some flowers on it. Basically geraniums, we can propagate them by taking a cutting. Nice and easy. We'll get our secateurs in here. We'll take a cutting here. We're going to do it on an angle, and I'll show you why in a minute. Okay, so this is my geranium that I've just cut off my parent plant. I've cut it on an angle, and that's so that the surface area from which new roots can grow is greatly increased. So there's more chance of viable roots sprouting from down there. Before I plant this, I'm going to trim a few of the leaves off, the excess leaves, just leaving a couple of the leaves to provide the plant some nutrients, sunlight, make some food for itself. Geraniums are really quite easily propagated. Basically you just cut them, put them in a bit of soil and watch them grow. Some methods will dip them in plant hormone to promote root growth, but for the geranium plant, no, nice and easy. We don't need any of that. Okay, so for our second stop on our tour, we're going to come over to my lawn here. Now I mowed this lawn a couple of days ago, and after mowing it I've been able to see a lot of these grass runners appear. So here we've got a grass runner. This is buffalo grass, and it uses runners to basically spread out and make more grass. I don't know if you can see, but there's these nodes all the way along the runners, and basically there's little roots that have started to grow in the hope of finding some soil to plant into or to take root upon. So that's just another form of asexual reproduction, where a parent plant can make other plants from itself with its own genetic material. Okay, and you can see if I could rip that up, you can see this runner's been going on for a while. Alrighty, so that's quite long now. That's probably about 1 metre in length. And yeah, roots all the way along the runner at every node. Okay, so next stop I'm going to need my handy little tool and take you over this way. Now, this particular plant's been causing me problems. It's a bit of a weed, I'm afraid. It loves to climb up trees. Now I'm going to dig this up and show you what's lying underneath the soil. Okay, so I've dug up my little plant and I've put it on a bit of white paper so you can actually see down near this root structure down here. Alrighty, this is what's known as a tuber, and basically from this little bulby, knobbly thing, you can get other plants being produced from it. So that's what makes it really hard to get rid of this plant from my garden, is the fact that deep underneath the soil there's an active part of the plant that's wanting to shoot and sprout off other plants. So that's what's called a tuber. I've got some other examples of that in my front garden, which we might head there now. Let's see what we find on the way. Something else. This wasn't found in my garden. This has come from my cupboard inside. Now this potato has been in my cupboard for probably about 3 or 4 weeks. But as you can see, it's started to sprout some buds off of it. And potatoes are actually another form of a tuber. So they grow underground, sending off shoots, sprout buds, and you can get a few plants growing off of the one tuber. So I might plant this on our way out to the front garden, give it another chance at life. I probably could eat it, but we'll see. We'll conduct an experiment and see what happens after a few weeks, how much further these little buds develop. Let's head out to the front now. So heading down this way. A few plants there. Okay, so we're going to make a stop here and just pop our geranium in some lovely soil. I've got some wet stuff there, but I'm going to put the geranium over here. Oops, I'm going to pull off a few more leaves yet, haven't we? Let's get rid of that one. And that should be enough to get the plant happy. Get it making some food for itself. We'll give it a bit of a watering. Yes, I should be able to come back hopefully in a few days' time, and hopefully there might be some signs of growth underneath in the soil. I'm just going to leave my potato there to remind me on the way back to give him a berry. Oh, okay. Here we are, class. Here's another form of asexual reproduction. We've got some fungus here. And quick question, how does fungus undergo asexual reproduction? What does it use? There's a little question to think about while we head on out to the front. Okay, rightio, let's head on down here past the worm tunnels. There's something in here I'd like to show you. Okay, so moving into this part of the garden, I'm just going to push back my asparagus plant here. And what we've got down here, I planted this probably about 2 months ago. Now this is actually an old rotting onion that I had in my cupboard, and I decided to see if it would have a second chance on life. So as you can see, it's sprouted 4 branches, and I think when we dig that up it's going to be a bit more evident what's actually happened to that one onion that I've planted. So interestingly enough, I've also got up the tips of the shoot. We've got some flowers starting. So onions not only are a bulb and reproduce asexually from a bulb, but they also do go to seed if they're left in the ground long enough. Might just see if I can split this, and so yes, there's the beginnings of the flower. Now this flower normally turns a lovely bluey purple in colour, and it looks absolutely amazing. And so I'm a little bit sad that the colour's not there for you today, but these will eventually turn into seeds from which more onion plants can grow. Okay, so let's go back down here. Now, remembering that this was just one onion bulb that I planted, let's have a look at what's happened. Oh, something's fallen off. Great, okay. So as you can see, the bulb has actually divided, very nicely I might add, into 4 separate bulbs. So there you go, not bad, from one onion turning into 1, 2, 3, 4 onion plants. So I can actually separate them now and go and plant them and start the whole process over again. Okay, next stop, this is over in my rocky area, and what we've got down here is another example of a bulb plant. This is a jonquil, and it's got beautiful little white flowers on there that are very heavily perfumed, but at the moment they're causing me a little bit of a headache. This started off as a single plant obviously, but you can see how thick that's gotten, and I'm going to dig that up because that will be another example, I'm sure, of how bulbs divide and create more of the plant. Next to my jonquil here though, unlike the grass out the back, which is buffalo grass and uses runners, this grass here is nut grass, and this uses a rhizome underneath the soil to support smaller plants or smaller offshoots of the grass. So nut grass is very, very difficult to get rid of because you have to actually remove the whole rhizome in order to get rid of the plant, and that requires digging up quite a bit of soil. So I'm going to have a dig and see if I can find you a good example of what a rhizome looks like. Okay, so after much digging I finally found an example of a rhizome. So this is my nut grass here. So we've got one plant and a horizontal root structure linked to another plant. So basically the idea with a rhizome is the parent plant can provide nutrients and support to a growing plant and help its production as well. But yes, as you can see here, they're linked together, and if you can imagine a chain of all of these rhizomes working underneath the ground, you can see why nut grass can become such a problem. Now I also found a lovely example here of a bulb. Now I'm just trying to get the camera angle right. So you can see some baby bulbs just off to the left hand side of the big bulb. Try and clear some of that dirt away. Let's see. Okay, that's a little bit better view. But as you can see, each of those bulbs have the potential to grow or to come away from the parent bulb and grow into a new plant, completely like the parent. Okay, well that concludes the tour of my garden. We've seen today quite a few different asexual reproductive methods involving plant reproduction. So first of all, we started with a simple cutting. We went across to the buffalo grass and we pulled it up and we saw how it had a runner. Then we dug up a weed which had a tuber, and we saw our potato, which is an example of a tuber as well. And into the front garden we then came across bulbs, and we also had an example of a rhizome with my nut grass. There is one form of asexual reproduction that I haven't shown you today, and that's called grafting, but you're going to learn about that very shortly. Obviously asexual reproduction is very important within our society, so have a look in your own backyard, see what you can see, and I'm sure you'll find many examples of asexual reproduction.